Good morning.
Tuesday morning.
Good morning. Hey, I wish I could say good morning.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a great morning.
Not today, right?
Only thing I can say is it's not raining today. It's the first Tuesday it's not rained.
Yeah. First Tuesday, it's not raining.
But it's a wild world we're living in.
Yeah.
And wish I was in a better mood about it.
Yeah. Tragic.
I don't know what you're feeling, and I know we didn't. I just came from an appointment. You just came from a couple conversations, so we're hitting this pretty cold this morning. But I don't know. I'm sad. I'm grieving with the rest of the country. I can't believe we live in a world, in a country that still allows what we've seen transpire over the last couple weeks. It's just been heartbreaking, and I'm angry, and I'm mindful, and I don't even know how to respond. How about you?
Yeah, I think there's a whole series of emotions where it's how do you know how to process all that's going on between what might be going on personally and in the midst of everything that might be going on in the life of the church, and then everything that's going in the life of our nation. It's like how do you process all that, and how do you hold in tension? Unfortunately, the world's broken and there's evil in the world, and when we see it played out, we'd like to pretend like that isn't still part of our world. And in a moment, when you see a total disregard for nothing that could be called other than a total disregard for human life.
Absolutely.
And there's a whole trajectory. There's a piece of that where it's surprising, but maybe shouldn't surprise us. And yet, how do we enter in with people to say exactly what you said this weekend? Like, not with a platitude and a careless world, but just to enter into people where they are and enter into their grief and their pain and their hurt and their all that, and being able to say, I don't have the words to fix it, but I'm with you. You know, I think not trying to find, not trying to make lemonade in the midst of all this going on, but some of the coolest things that have happened is as you look around and where there's protests that are happening, where there's people who join in and say, hey, we're with you. You know, we're with you in the sense of whether it's police or whatever that are saying, hey, we're with you. We don't think that this is acceptable. We don't think that this is anywhere close to what we should see in our country. Those little glimpses have been really cool, but they've been few and far between.
Just with no question, it breaks the heart of God, breaks our heart, and it's hard to know. And let's just call it what it is. I'd like to think we came further in the last 50 years. In racial relations, in relationships in our country, and yet, and I've seen a whole lot, and it grieves me to think that we're still where we were in so many ways. I mean, I know that there's been progress and movement and growth. I'm not minimizing that, but to think that we live in a world where a black man could be killed, really, with someone's knee to his neck, and it be filmed, it's just beyond me. And I think it opens up wounds for people of color that I don't think you and I could ever understand. I mean, I'm sitting here as a white man going, I want to get it. I want to grasp it. I want to understand it. It makes me angry. It grieves me. It grieves me for that family. It grieves me for the world we live in. I want to get it.
Right.
And as much as I try and I long to, I want to understand. I think you used the illustration the other day. Well, you know, as hard as you try, you're never going to know what it means to be a woman.
Never.
It's never gonna be that way. And the only thing I know to do, I'm rushing to the Word, and I know our refuge is in Him and Him alone. I've been reading this verse over and over the last several days, and it's from Psalm 62. Trust in Him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before Him. God is a refuge for us. I don't know where else to go. I don't know what else to do, where to pour my heart out. And on the flip side, I really feel like it's been a wake-up call for me. Like I don't know that I even understand the issues like I thought I did.
Right.
I'm finding myself being more mindful, and the Lord leading me to places of being more mindful of going back and listening to podcasts that friends of mine who've done, and just trying to grasp and understand the pain and the depth of what people of color are facing. And
Right.
and I don't know that I'll ever get it, but I want to understand more, and I don't know where else to go. And this day, where you find us on a Tuesday, we're in the process of trying to work that thing out. I mean, for us, for our church, what does it look like for us to love? Last Wednesday night, our prayer gathering focused on the whole idea of love, and spent a lot of time in 1 Corinthians 13, which, it gets read a lot at weddings, and I don't know that was, I mean, love is definitely a part. Yeah, it gets taken out of context, and not that a romantic love is not something honorable and something to be cherished, but the love that's spoken about in 1 Corinthians 13 is a love that I've only ever experienced through the person of Jesus Christ. It's only the gospel. It's only the love that's found in a relationship with Jesus. And I'm just begging for Christ to be made known, for the presence of Christ to be felt and experienced by those who are in pain, and for the gospel to go forward somehow, some way. It is the only answer. We can be better people, but even as much as we try to be better people, better is only found in the power and the person of Christ.
Right.
And so I don't know. There's no other way of getting around that, and I don't apologize for that as a church. Or that's where it is. That's where life's found. That's where the answers are found, and that doesn't put like a gauze over all of this.
Right.
But
what you just said is the struggle. How do you not enter in with just the cliche phrase, at the same time acknowledging racism's real, and that I've never had a doubt that that's true. I mean, that's true, right? I mean, it's a real thing, and we've had conversations about that, and it's not doubting that that's real, but where it puts us in a place to be able to say, like, what's the right timing to be able to say, how do we enter into a conversation? And this is my struggle, is people are saying, hey, church leaders, you should be stepping up right now. And I say yes, but part of it is, you addressed it, like, really maybe more than saying things, we should be listening to things.
Absolutely.
And so we're not in a rush to go, hey, this is it. And yet I hold the same tension you do, in the sense of the gospel's real, and the only way that healing is going to take place, and this is being demonstrated, the only way that healing is going to take place is through the power of the gospel and forgiveness. And it's so contrary to everything that our culture says. And so I got to pull it out of the culture and go, oh yeah, I remember being down in Mexico and being with these girls that have been trafficked, and sitting with the people who do ministry with them and say, hey, the most profound thing that they do is they go through and forgive their perpetrators. And that unlocks this key. And so the world is going to chase all kinds of solutions, and they're never going to find them. And whether that's through violence and demanding to be heard, or whatever means that we try, and it's still going to end up in a brokenness, because we're broken. And so there's a piece of it that, like you said, is shocking, and yet I'm reminded, like, it shouldn't be shocking. Like why does sin and depravity shock us? Because that's very real. Well, it shocks us when we think, well, surely as people we're better than that. And I think it's really the video. How many people, if we hadn't seen it, like, would be able really to comprehend that there were almost 9 minutes that a man had a knee placed to his neck? Like how many of us would really comprehend? Like,
we would think it's a distortion of the story or something. Couldn't have happened that way.
Right, there had to be something else.
It absolutely happened that way.
Right, there had to be something else, right? Yeah. And so I think that's made people wrestle in a whole new way. And how do we make sure that we're listening, and then making sure we're going, yeah, but the gospel, Jesus is the only one who can fix it. Like even if we had perfect race relations in America, it would be broken by sin.
Yeah, it'd be broken.
Yeah. So our hearts are breaking, not just for the Floyd family, right, and everybody that's involved there, but really this ongoing
I think the pain that it unearths in in that community. In that part.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just this happened, it's this happened and that happened and that happened and that happened. It's like having that that scar ripped open again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm gonna, unless you have more you want to share, I just want to stop and pray real quick.
No, that's
God, just thank you. Thank you for your goodness. Thank you that you are a refuge. Thank you that you are there for all of us, for all people. And I pray, God, for those who are just devastated by what's ravaged their family, by what's ravaged their community, and the pain that's ravaged really not only the nation but the world. It's just amazing how this has reached as far as it have. God, we know that you alone can bring comfort. You alone can bring healing. Would you allow your presence to be felt and known in a way that would heal our land? And we just beg for it, and we cling to you, Jesus. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, gonna make a segue.
Okay.
A left turn.
So are you going to make a better segue than I did that time that you
Yeah, I
got
shared
all,
my heart.
shared
You're like
your heart out, and I'm like, okay, great. Let's do something different.
Yeah. So yeah,
better.
you just shut me down, but I'm going to actually create an environment here.
Okay.
We're going to put somebody in the middle. We're going to have a guest.
A guest.
It's usually
this is our first guest.
It's usually the Dave and Mark hour, or whatever it's called. But would you welcome, please, the Reverend Timothy Bubar? Whoop, whoop.
He comes from a long line of reverends.
He does. There's lots of reverends in his family.
Reverend
Is
Bubars.
every male a reverend in your family?
Not everyone, but the vast majority.
In your immediate family? Like your mom's, your boys?
No, my brother, I've got one brother who's a lumberman.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, one who's a pastor. Yeah.
I bet he's a lot more fun to hang around with on Thanksgiving than the rest of them.
Hey, what'd you do at church this weekend?
So when you guys all get together as a family, do you talk church? Is that what you talk about?
Not all
Since you're
the
all
time.
churchmen, except for the woodmen.
Churchman, yeah, and the woodman. We do some. Even the lumberman is interested in what's going on at church. So
Yeah.
Hey, well, we asked
talk
him.
about what's going on at
Yeah, we
church.
asked him to join us for a very specific reason. We got
Yeah.
some big news to actually declare today. Yes.
Yes.
And it has something to do with something that's in your front pocket.
That's true.
Why don't you take that out of
You
your
want a
front
big
pocket
reveal?
and tell us
Yeah.
what it is and why that's meaningful to you?
Some very good news. In my front pocket, I have
What do you have?
some keys.
Keys.
I've been walking around the office this morning, just
Jingling
walking up to
keys?
people going, do you know what these are? Do you know what these are? And everybody just says keys. And I tell them, these aren't just keys. These are the keys to the new Bearden campus building.
Bearden campus
so-
Keys to the
building.
kingdom.
The keys
Yes.
to the kingdom,
Bubar
not quite.
Kingdom.
So they're not keys, actually, to Pine Gap Elementary School.
No, they're not keys to Pond Gap Elementary School. So can I tell the little story behind this?
Yes. No.
Yeah,
Tell the big
please do.
story.
Yeah.
This is our
yep.
chance.
Okay, so I'm not sure I missed the show last week.
Doesn't matter.
You don't watch our show. We watch
I know,
yours.
I'm a faithful.
We're going to send this out. We're going to cut this clip.
Hey,
and
let me
send it
stop for
out
a
to the
second.
church
You know
at
some
large.
shows, like you watch TV and then they all of a sudden combine two shows?
Yeah.
So this is a merging of.
And that's why I brought a blender with me. We're gonna eat smooth. Just kidding.
The word of the day is keys.
If you
Tell
don't,
us what the keys mean.
if you don't watch us on Thursday, you don't know what that's
actually
about.
a better word than Todd has ever
Yeah,
put out.
absolutely.
That's really
So here's the story behind the keys. 20 months ago, as we were first starting to look at campus in another part of Knoxville, maybe it was going to be Rocky Hill, maybe Bearden. The very first building we looked at was a building right in the middle of Bearden that was in a great location, but it just wasn't going to work. It was in really rough shape. There wasn't enough space. There was no space for
And
kids
I don't think
ministry.
we had a designated campus pastor then, did we?
We did not have a
We did
campus
not.
pastor.
That's
just an
partly why
idea.
it wasn't going to work.
Yes, it was just an idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. It's a good point. And so that happened. And we were like, oh, great place, but it's just not going to work. And we looked over the next year.
Yeah.
Over the next year after that, looked all over Bearden and even a little bit beyond for a building that would work to have Two Rivers campus in it. And we couldn't find anything. But a door opened up at Pond Gap Elementary School. It was a great fit for us, so we moved in there, and that's where we
By the
launched.
way, one of the nicest schools I've been in.
Unbelievable.
You walk through that building, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Like I know people that have been in Knoxville for a long time think, oh, Pond Gap.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no, Pond Gap's awesome.
Yeah.
New and renewed.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
beautiful.
So this new space in their school and a real desire to partner with us and say, yeah, you want to partner with the school? Let's do it. So we moved in there. Then, of course, COVID hit, quarantine, all of that. And so we couldn't meet at the school. Even before we knew we weren't going to be having service on this campus, we knew we were going to be out of the school for a while. And so, yeah, all of that happened. And then we were in the midst of quarantine also looking for an office in the Bearden area. And I went and saw an office space and just a few weeks ago. And it looked great. The realtor emailed me afterwards and said, hey, let me know what you think of this space. Oh, and by the way, Tim, I know you guys meet in a school, but might you be interested in looking at this building that's coming available for lease? And it was this theater that we had looked at 20 months before. And I said, I know that building. I've been in it. And she let me know that in the meantime, the building had been renovated. Additional space had come available for kids ministry space, so that was now part of the deal. And it was really all set up for a church to meet there. There was a church that had been meeting there that had done the work, and that church just had closed, unfortunately, had closed their doors. And so over the last couple of weeks, we've been praying about and investigating, is this the right next step? And we've been able to negotiate a good lease on it. And really, it's just, the timing of it is incredible with just the uncertainty about meeting in a school. And I've talked to the principal at Pond Gap and said, hey, this is a real possibility, but we want to continue our relationship with Pond Gap Elementary, with the Pond Gap neighborhood. It's only 1.5 miles from the school. So the principal was like, yeah, we would love for that to continue if that's where you guys move. And yesterday, we signed a lease. Woo! And we got the keys. And when we open up meeting on weekends at all of our campuses, we're going to open up meeting.
All you need is a 2-hour notice. You guys set that thing up in 2 hours.
We're used to
right?
setting up church.
Questions, people are like, oh, hey, you have all this mobile gear, and what are you going to do? And well, we're going to use a lot of that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the stage setup in there is perfect for the screens we have, the projectors we have, our kids ministry stuff. Just that gear, we will just move in there and we'll be ready to roll. So
it's exciting.
Hey,
It's
before we
super
ask you a
exciting.
serious question,
Yeah.
a more serious, I want to ask you a question and see if you know this. This may or may not be true. You can say true or false.
Okay.
Okay. It may or not be true that our elder chairman once went to that theater and saw Rocky Horror Picture Show. It may or may not be true. I'm just saying, it's been around. The Hamburg Theater's been around. It's a Knoxville landmark, is it not?
Yes, yeah. So it used to be called. It was a theater. Some world premieres of some movies took place in this theater, whatever it was called way back in the day. If you go down there, you can see Ingrid Bergman's hands in the concrete outside the theater. Yeah,
This is a new little fun
This is
fact.
new.
1970. Yeah.
Really?
Hey, so I got a question. Are you going to take your water display?
Collection?
Are you going to maybe put it behind?
Oh,
There's a coffee bar.
No, but with that window thing in the front.
Oh, yeah, the
There's a
ticket booth.
display area, the
Listen.
ticket booth.
Ticket booth. You could put
all your
kinds
water
of
out there.
stuff.
If the people want to see the water collection, they'll see the
If
water
the people
collection.
want to see it.
They
You
would
could take
want to
that
see
ticket
it.
booth and you could turn it into a display.
Right, we do need to figure out what we're going to do with the ticket booth. There's a little ticket window right out front, where you'd walk up to the theater and get that. So anyways, yes, then it became the tap house, the Terrace Tap House. And
I was driving through that neighborhood, and I've only lived here for 8.5 years, and so the name Hamburg Theaters, that seems kind of weird. But everything in that neighborhood, we call it Bearden, but everything around that little area is called Hamburg something.
yeah, so it's the Hamburg Place is that area
Yeah,
in there.
and even
Do some
across the
research
street,
about the
Hamburg something,
Hamburgs.
Hamburg something, Hamburg.
I don't know
More
who
about
the Hamburgs are.
We need to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we do.
this is
Sounds
good.
German.
Who is this Hamburgs?
Sounds like
What is they doing?
They might be relatives. I don't know. Hey, one of the things that excites us about this, first, it's a little sad we're leaving Pond Gap.
Yeah, it is. That
Because
was,
that's a great relationship.
I would say my first question was, wow, this is such a great opportunity, But
We've just built these relationships,
Yeah.
and the people there have been incredibly kind and gracious,
Yeah.
and it's been awesome.
Yeah.
But the thing that excites us the most about this is Pond Gap. We got for what, 6 or 8 hours on a Sunday,
yeah,
and this we'll be able to do all kinds of outreach, impact the community
Yeah.
in the Bearden area all throughout the week. Like, we're not limited to church being on the weekends. We
Exactly.
can be thinking creatively, dreaming, and praying how God may use us to actually have a greater impact on a scat of people that we probably would never have had an opportunity to reach
Yeah, so
had
I've-
we just had one day a week.
I have a question like that. So will you be showing the Rocky Horror Picture Show on Friday nights? Is that a thing?
I think,
Whatever
I
it
think, I think
takes.
someone by the initials Bruce Wagner may be actually hosting that. I've never seen
we do
that.
that?
Have you ever seen it?
No.
Okay, I haven't either.
I mean, but
There's a few things I can say I've never done. I'm just so
probably
proud of
good
I
myself.
know, like if you're a fan, like there's certain things that you do during it. So
think
you
we
bring
throw-
props
yeah.
with it.
I think they throw stuff at the
Yeah.
screen. and
You've
stuff.
done it.
I have not done it. I have not gone to an interactive showing of the Rocky Horror
right.
Picture Show.
Yeah.
But yes, to your point, I mean, I just think I've seen this before. It communicates something to a community when, I mean, meeting in a school is great, but people respond differently when they go, oh, that's a church in my community that has set up here and they are now part of the community. It's just you're able to do that, I think, in a different way and open up doors for ministry all throughout the week with a more permanent location.
It also takes away some of those, I mean, we're in the COVID era, right? It takes away some of those question marks around on any given week, you could get a call saying, hey, this building isn't available, you can't meet in it and for
Right.
whatever reason. And,
Right.
and so whether it's, hey, we have another event and you can't
Right.
do church this weekend, or hey, we're going to refinish the floors and you can't do church this weekend,
Right.
to anything.
Right. Understandably, we're not the #1 priority for Knox County schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you made the
Along with
call,
15 other churches.
when you made the call to your volunteers, and I'm sure there's a certain team called the tear down and set up and tear down team. What was their response? Oh, they bombed because they signed up to tear it down, set it
We'll
up.
we'll have plenty of setup to do. I mean, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to set this thing up as we get started. But the week in, week out, we'll find other ways to serve together.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny with setup and tear down. The first 6 weeks or so, it was like 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. It was like, oh man, we're all getting to know each other. There was like this gap in between when we'd get done setting up and some people would go out and grab some breakfast before church. That was
Tim, don't ruin this for our next campus, okay? Don't ruin anything.
okay,
Don't let the
okay.
cat out of the bag.
I'm saying that was a fun thing, but
But those are the hours that really like glue people together.
yeah, I'm thankful
Like,
we
you're
have
talking about
those
this
for
right
sure.
now, like, and there's people that are watching. Hopefully, somebody's watching. But there's people who are watching who were here when we used to tear down and set
Yeah.
up at another school
Yeah.
locally, Farragut High School, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, we did it for 20 years uphill in the snow. I mean, so you did it for 2
We did
months
it for 8
over
weeks.
in Pine Gap.
Right.
Like,
We did it for
But-
8 weeks.
But 20 years from now,
Old school.
20 years from now, don't worry, that story will grow and we'll have our own tale of
I think
suffering.
even out of that, though, it's an opportunity for you just to remind your team of the opportunity. And something that you know is true is serving together builds community faster than anything else.
Yeah.
We can get together in a group and we can talk about stuff.
Right.
But when we actually join together in God's mission in this world, significant things happen. And so
Oh,
that can
yeah.
be setting up tech gear to make a campus happen or setting up children's space. But now how can we say, okay, yeah, but also as we serve in our community together,
Right.
it can really
Right,
make a
that
difference.
same thing we're going to have opportunities to do, to serve shoulder to shoulder and in uncomfortable ways, at uncomfortable times, just like setting up for church on a Sunday morning. But there's a lot of good in that. You're
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah.
And I'm just convinced too. I know I use this phrase a lot, and it's not original to me. I've stole it from somebody years ago. But there's this clear divine orchestration that takes place.
Yeah.
It really does. And so we walked in obedience. We really did. We believed that we were supposed to be in that area. We prayed. We drove. I'm car sick almost, being in the back of vehicles trying to find a space to meet. And Pine Gap was where we were supposed to be. And,
Yeah.
and for this amount of time. And then the theater right now has opened up in a unique way.
Yeah.
I mean, it really has. In a time when, we were in COVID era.
Yeah.
And the theater opened up, and I'm just convinced. I'm convinced that there'll be things that we're doing as a ministry, and as to have impact in that area that never would have happened had this not transpired. And
Yeah.
so I'm excited. I'm excited for us to be able to think and dream and pray and look forward to what next year really does hold, because it's opened up way beyond what we can even. I mean, it's just been a couple weeks. So we've really heard about it, went over, saw it, prayed through it, made some decisions, and now we have a lease, right? And so what and how God's going to use it is going to be exciting to see.
Yeah.
Well, it was also cool during that to be able to go back to remembering being in the parking lot before Tim Bubar had said yes to being a campus pastor, right? And remembering there were things that were exciting about that at that time. There were things reminding ourselves like, oh yeah, remember this was exciting about this and this was exciting about this. Even though one of the major barriers is when you're starting a campus is you don't pick the location before the campus pastor. The campus pastor has to be part of that with your core team. And so, hey, even if we had decided this was a great space, at that time we couldn't move on a space because we didn't have a campus pastor.
Tim had not yet responded.
That's
to
right.
He had not said.
I don't think the question had come up yet.
At that time, so how much insider information can we let out?
Go the whole man. This is supposed to be an honest discussion.
At that time, I think we were having conversations behind Tim's back, saying
he should do
Does
this.
Tim know that he's a campus pastor?
Yeah, nobody had asked me yet.
We were
Tim
talking
know?
for sure.
We were, because we were like,
we
out
were
of
convinced.
that parking lot.
Yeah.
Out of that parking lot, I'm like,
he should do this.
Does Tim know that he should be this campus pastor guy?
And you know what?
Thanks
If we're going to
for-
go all
thanks
the
for
way
letting
with
me
the
in.
information that day, Rick Robertson was there.
He was.
Yeah.
And Rick has been convinced from day one we should have been in that theater. So
Yeah.
we should have listened to Rick in 2018, told Tim, and circumvented the last couple years, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So Rick
Saves
was
some
right.
time.
Rick, you were right.
Yeah,
Rick was
good
right.
call, Rick.
Yeah.
Good call.
And he's put a lot of investment in searching that whole area, and so he knows the ins and outs of what might be available commercial real estate. And you were saying just yesterday, like of the options in Bearden, there's not many.
Oh no, it's this. That's what was so stunning about the timing of it. That this space came available because Rick did so much legwork all over.
Yeah.
And there's just in that part of town, there just isn't a space. I mean, other than a school that works for a church that you can move into. There's not something available to purchase or to lease that has.
There's a lot of retail space.
Yes, lots of retail space,
yeah.
but it just doesn't work,
Yeah.
you know. So
Well, we're excited.
yeah, me too.
Yeah, we're excited.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, You're just filler. You're just filler, dude.
I'm taking my keys with me too.
Hey, I think we have a minute or two left, don't we?
Yeah, we actually have a couple. We have
Do you have a couple
5.
minutes? I'm gonna. This is gonna be pretty vulnerable.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask Tim. Looking at you, Dave, see if this is okay. We're gonna ask Tim. Is there any question that you want to put us on the spot on this morning? Any question you want to ask Dave Gruen or Mark?
By us on the spot.
Is there a question?
Any question? Anything that's like, wow, that should be better if they would just.
I don't know.
I mean, we don't have any like. There's no messy stuff. No.
Right,
hot
I can't
sauce
make
or-
you guys suffer in any way. Yeah, I don't have any blazing hot wings.
So
for
it
you
is.
to eat.
It is amazing to me that no matter what.
Yeah.
So
This is something we both
for
agree on.
weeks,
Yeah.
for weeks and weeks and weeks, you were abusing Todd and Dave, and they didn't even really.
They
know
were too
it.
naive to get it.
They
They're
didn't
just,
even know
They're,
it.
they're too nice.
And
They're such nice people
Yeah, they
that
were like, yeah, like Todd, Tim. He left. Tim actually lied to me. I'm like, yeah, of
That
course
was
he
the
did.
point of the game.
Yeah, like,
And
you
then
knew
they
he was
turn
going
the
to.
tables,
Yeah.
and he still comes
Because
out the hero.
they were challenged to turn the tables.
Yeah.
And so they did. And all of a sudden they became the villains, and he's still the hero.
I got 3 emails defending Tim, saying, "Please don't let
I
that
need
ever
my
happen to
people
Tim
out there.
Bubar again."
I need
I
my
tell you
people
what,
looking out
man.
for
And
me.
it wasn't Charlotte or Joe.
It's hard to be.
amazing.
It's hard to be Tim Bubar. You know.
He's got
I just-
everybody convinced.
It is not hard
I
to be
need
Tim
people looking
Bubar.
out for me. You know.
Even your daughter cried. I heard. I think she got
Yes.
emotional when she saw you
poor
having to drink
little
that
Maya
schlop.
saw what those guys were putting me through.
But I tell you what, I was impressed that you were a gamer, dude. You like,
Hey.
okay, well, how bad could this be? You could definitely tell that you had a youth ministry kind
That
of background.
smoothie they made, well, anything for good TV, and that's, you got to make the show work. That smoothie they made was so thick, I literally had to shake it out.
Well, I was
of
convinced
there.
that you had your mouth shut and you were faking it. But then you told me later, and there's one thing I know that you're not. Well, not to me anyway.
You're
a
not
liar.
an off-the-air liar.
You're not an off-the-air liar, yeah. So
You're like anything in the name of a game or a show. That's
Yeah,
all good.
yeah, yeah.
But like,
Right,
in
that's part of the
life,
game.
integrity in life.
Yeah,
You actually
I
drank
appreciate
some.
that. I did, yeah. And it was, as I didn't,
How'd that set for you, like, hours later?
Sometimes for, like for the sake of like in student ministry. Like you got to put on a show a little bit when I did not have to put on a show at all in drinking that stuff. It was as bad. I really did have to think, okay, I gagged once. Either I swallow this, I swallow this right now, or it's gonna get
Todd was taking
real
personal
ugly.
delight that day. You could see every time he got to put something in that thing, he was just like, oh.
His
God,
blender
this
wasn't
is
even
awesome.
working
This is gonna be
anymore.
great. This is gonna be great. And all of a sudden, the emails start coming in. Todd's a terrible person.
Yeah, that's true. He did not have to fake his joy
No,
in
he
that.
didn't.
He enjoyed it.
He was excited.
Well, we're just having
Hey, I'm going to ask Dave Gruen a final question.
Okay.
Because you have to wrap it up quick.
Yep.
Because people don't want to sit in here
Nope,
for an hour and a
it's
half and
time.
watch. Okay.
Yep.
Hey, are we ever coming back to campuses?
We are coming back to
Because we're talking about it every day here. I want people to know.
Campuses right
we're
now.
talking about it. We're not just sitting here going, wow, I wonder when we might come back, you know?
Yeah. So there is a plan for us to return to campuses. Right now, it's a phased approach, and you can find it under 2rc.tv/COVID-19 or COVID-19.
Both will get you
We
there.
want to make sure you can get there, and you can look at our phased approach. Right now, the projected date is the first weekend of July that we will possibly do that, but
We
we're
may
gonna
slide
have
it
the
up or
first time
slide
ever.
it back, depending on numbers,
depending
and
on
we're
what
watching
goes
it
on.
every day, just like the rest of you. Yeah.
And then we're probably going to have our first annual meeting via full proxy vote, and there's going to be information that'll be coming out via that. And this weekend, we're actually kicking off a new series called Summer Stories. We're going to be out of the book of John for a little bit, and took us a little while to land on what we were going to do, but it was before everything melted down that we decided where we were going to go. But it seems to be it seemed to be really applicable to coming out of COVID and kind of emerging from shutdown and what it looks like in relationships, both with what's going on in our country right now. It's maybe even more practical than we imagined.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
that's where we're going.
All right. Well, happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining us, Tim Bubar.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, you'll have
We'll
to
do
come
it
back
again sometime.
Yeah. So do you
Maybe
think
we'll
we
make
can-
a surprise appearance on the Thursday
maybe,
show.
Well, maybe,
special guest.
or maybe it'll just turn into the Mark, Tim, and Dave show, and we'll just leave Dave and Todd behind.
You
and
just
really
wounded two guys
them
so
really
bad.
Really bad. We would never do that.
On that word, have a great day.